What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Power Play with CJ. To continue our 10 question segment with 10 questions the New York Rangers faced going into the 2013-2014 season without obviously a new look, without John Tortorella. Anyway, starting off number 10. Was Vigneault the right call as a coach? It's a wait-and-see process, which is a cop-out answer, of course, but Torts had to go. His message was falling on deaf ears in the locker room, and, I think they needed to change the pace. Dallas Eakins probably would have been a better coach, but, they want the veteran experience, and their offensive attack will open up definitely next year, more so than the conservative approach Tortorella took for the last couple of years. Number 9, is JT Miller up full-time? I think so. He'll be 20 to open the season. Got a cup of coffee last year. Wasn't around for the playoffs because he had an injured wrist, and they sent him home to rehab that rather than keeping him around as a black ace. But I think he'll be up. He's got amazing upside. He can play in the second and third line long term, and I think he's going to be the next great American Ranger. And they've done pretty good at producing American players the last couple of years. That's Stepan, McDonough, Callahan, even Dubinsky. Those guys have been okay. Number 8, will an extension for King Henrik be done before the start of the season? No, I think it'll drag out into the season, but I would put the odds of Henrik Lundqvist leaving New York at about .0001. He loves to play New York. They love him. He's King Henrik. He's married to a Swedish princess. He's just generally better than most people. But I think a deal will get done over and under Thanksgiving. They'll sign him in season. They'll take care of him for sure. Because, like I said, there's really no other fit. I mean, anyone could use a Vezina Trophy winning goaltender, but culturally and hockey-wise, it's just too good of a fit for him to leave. But, I've said that before, and look where that's gotten me. Number 7, speaking about contracts, will Stepan be signed by the beginning of the season? That's a little bit dicier. I got him right now as my first second-line center on the U.S. Olympic team, but I don't. They need the cap room, and obviously he doesn't want to take less money, a couple other things, but I think he'll get signed before the start of the season. No, I don't think he'll be signed by the start of camp, but I've been wrong before. This could be a prolonged holdout. I'm not totally sure, but I think it'll work out for him. If I'm the Rangers, I'm knocking on wood right now, trying to get the Wisconsin Badger in the fold. So it's a twofold question. If he plays 82 games, will he have 70 points? I think so. I think he's going to lead this team in scoring next year. I think he's going to be by default the first line center. Brad Richards is back, barely. They'll amnesty him next year, but Stepan's their best player. I believe he led them in scoring last season, so he's big time, and he's going to show it next season. Number 6, speaking of Rick Nash, actually we're talking about the first line. Will he score 40 goals next year? I think so. I think given Vigneault's offensive prowess as a head coach, and given the fact that Vancouver's been one of the highest scoring teams in the league under Vigneault the last couple of years, I think that 40 goals for Rick Nash is not a sight, and he'll do just fine. Number 5, will Ryan McDonough challenge the Norris Trophy? This is a little bit different. I think McDonough's skill set as a lockdown defensive defenseman. Look, he's a top 5 or 10 defenseman in the National Hockey League. That's undeniable, based on his skating ability, his hockey IQ. I know he's more of a defensive guy. He doesn't put up the offensive statistics, but I'd put him. Like I said, he's a top 5 or 10 defenseman. His skill set was better for Tortorella's system because it was more of a conservative approach, to borrow the political term, Rick Santorum-esque. But I just think his offensive numbers might go up a little bit because the system's a little more free flowing under Vigneault, but the plus minus is going to have just a little bit because, like I said, they're not going to be playing as conservative. But McDonough's a stud; he'll be fine. Will he challenge? I mean, it's almost like an abstract thing to worry about him challenging for the Norris Trophy. He's the best player. He's arguably the Rangers' best player outside of Henrik Lundqvist. So we'll see what happens. And I know someone's going to dispute that, but whatever. Play goes beyond statistics, and he epitomizes that. Number 4, will there be an Olympic curse on this team? They're going to have a high number of Olympians. We already talked about Stepan, McDonough, Lundqvist, Rick Nash, Callahan probably. There's going to be a number of Olympians on this team. It's going to be tough. A, the Olympics being in Europe, and B, having that many guys on the team, so that there might be a post-Olympic break kind of letdown. But I just think if they take care of business before the break and then weather the storm after the break, they'll be fine. There's enough leeway for them to get back on their feet, so to speak, by the time the playoffs roll around. So I wouldn't be too worried about them if I was the Rangers. Number 3, what rookies will they see next year? I mean, like I said, I don't think JT Miller's technically a rookie. So obviously him, Ryan Bork, you might see him for a cup of coffee. Jesper Fast, Swedish kid, might see him a little bit. Dylan McElrath, you might see him if they need some tenacity in the lineup. No rookie will be challenging for a full-time spot in this team. The line's pretty set in stone. But see what happens. Injuries are part of the game, and someone could definitely wow down at with the Connecticut Whale or whatever they are now, the Hartford Wolfpack, I think they are again. And it's just the way it goes. So we'll see how that works out. Will Captain Callie be back by opening night? I think he had off-season surgery. He'll be back. He'll be fine. He's even if he takes a couple weeks to come back, by the time you get to the mid-season, he'll be in mid-season form. You just need a few games to get warmed up, and he'll be fine. I'm not worried about him. Number one, will they challenge the division? I think so. I mean, Pittsburgh's got a lot of holes that they really haven't addressed. The defense is suspect. Fleury is, definitely suspect. If the defense is suspect, Fleury's guilty, And the forward core outside of Sid, Gino, Neal, and Kunitz is, and Sutter on the third line really leaves a lot to be desired. They lost some skill and some sandpaper over the offseason. And, it's going to be tough for them to maintain the status quo. And I think if the Rangers play the level they're capable of under Vigneault, the Lundqvist contract, distraction gets settled early, and, he does his thing like he always has. And, the forwards step up their game offensively, which I think they will under Vigneault, and the defense holds the line like they always have. One thing we even talked about was Stahl. I think he'll be back for opening night. I think there's a guy right there, Canadian Olympian right there. Should have been Captain Callie / Stahl coming back for opening night, but I think they'll both be ready. If everyone takes care of business, they can definitely upseed Pittsburgh for the division. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's my episode of the Power Play with CJ on 10 question segment in the New York Rangers phase going into the 2013-2014 season. Stay tuned for more episodes throughout the off season and beyond. Later, guys.